Welcome to another edition of Holy Tissues. Today we're going to be speaking about Clint Eastwood's Mystic River, and we're going to be examining this from a number of perspectives, and of course, as always, is my co-host, Dimitri Katzman, to my left.
And to my right is my friend, Mew Hopkins.
And this is a very interesting movie, a mystery. I think this movie examines how street justice can go wrong. It's an interesting film with some brilliant performances and some brilliant overacting as well. And I think we're going to examine it right now. Okay, we'll start from the beginning. So we begin with a young boy, Dave Boyle, who will later be played by Tim Robbins, and his two friends, Jimmy, played later by Sean Penn, and Kevin Bacon as a young boy his name is Sean Devine. So we follow these young boys in the beginning, and these strange men come around with a car, and they insist that young Dave get in the car with them, and he's taken away, and it's presumed that he is molested, abused, and it's a nightmare, and the people in the neighborhood recognize that there was some kind of foul play happening here. He comes back, the whole family says, when he comes back, damaged goods. So we all know it's really bad for young Dave Boyle, later to be Tim Robbins. So the years go by, and we didn't get to see his name finished on the cement. Very symbolic. Only half of his name. I guess he only got half a childhood. Sort of symbolic of what he missed out on. So then we see at this bar, while Sean Penn's daughter is having a good time, we see Tim Robbins' character as an older man, and he's like, I've known her since she was a kid, right? And so what you have here is sort of an interesting contrast, a juxtaposition of him remembering when he was abused when he was a child, and this young girl in front of him, and you're thinking, oh my God, what's he going to do here? Is he going to become what he fears? Is he going to become what he was, what happened to him? Is he going to pass it along, or is he going to not do that? Is he going to not be the werewolf? Is he not going to be the vampire, right? So
they kind of hint throughout the whole movie that he's this crazy molester.
They do, and they strongly suggest it, and they show it, and the acting implies it heavily. And that's the brilliance, to the credit of the director and the performance of Tim Robbins. They do make a very convincing case for him to probably be the killer. I was convinced, and I hadn't seen this movie in a while, and I had to rewatch it. And I tell you, I didn't remember what happened in the end, and I was still suspecting him all the way up to the last moment, which says a lot for the film in general. The fact that it could maintain and sustain that kind of suspense. There's a skill there, for sure, in Clint. Clint's a great director in certain films. In certain ways.
If he has the right script.
Yeah, if he has the right script and if he has the right actors, sometimes he doesn't always know what to do with his actors, but I think here he really knew what to do with Tim Robbins, at least. We can safely say that. Maybe not Sean Penn. I think that sort of went off the rails. But with Tim, he did a good job. So that strange juxtaposition out of the way. Later we find out she's been murdered, and the Sean Penn comes back. And then they have this ridiculous scene of Sean Penn from overhead screaming, where's my daughter? I'll kill you. And he just completely over the top, like just an over the top. I mean, I understand that is exactly how a father would feel, but to somehow film it and have music behind it and all these people holding him back, I'll kill you all. It was so over the top. I couldn't believe Clint let that happen. I couldn't believe my eyes. It was so cheesy and so hammy. It went from like this mercurial tone to this hamish, over the top. It became mercurial ham at that point. And you've ruined the movie for me at that point. Like that that performance. It was just that scene, that performance. It just took me right out of the movie and just focused on the acting. And I couldn't take him seriously after that point in the movie.
What about the scene on the porch where he's like saying, "I cannot even cry for my daughter."
That was the other scene. That was the other scene in the movie, right?
That scene, I still remember it.
Oh, and
10 years later, I
Yeah.
still remember
Well,
his.
That's the Academy Award winning scene, right? Well, you're crying now, aren't you? Tim says. It's creepy. It's creepy.
Oscar!
Tim got the Oscar, and he deserved it. First of all, that scene in and of itself is a total contrivance. Why would he go to this guy right after the murder? I did not understand this. Why did he come to him of all people? And also, there's
because he was his childhood friend.
Yeah, but they made it sound like he only went around him and hung around him every once in a while. It wasn't like he just came to him every week or something. Why right after his daughter's murder, so specifically does he come to the guy who may be the murderer in the end? It seemed contrived to me. It's like there's always the people in town he's talking to. Why isn't he confiding in any of them? Why is he coming to Tim Robbins' character? I didn't get the sense that they were still so close.
Maybe because of this whole thing that happened to him during childhood. He felt like he could show his weakness in front of
the guy that's already
freak.
Mentally damaged.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like
okay.
he has nothing to be embarrassed about in front of this guy. So that's why he opened up and cried.
That's a very condescending reason for him to come to him, but I guess that could be it. I guess that would have some logic to it, at least. It would hold some logic, maybe some kind of
he had
Boston
a criminal
logic.
mentality, right? So that's the criminal thinking. Oh, I
Yeah.
cannot show my weakness in front of my buddies.
Well, you know what? This is the problem with Sean Penn in general, though, is that he's always trying to play some tough guy character, and he never convinces me. He's always trying to play, somebody tougher than he really is, when he's just a big crybaby at the end of the day.
He has a tough face, and that's why they cast him in those tough guys.
But he doesn't have the emotional maturity to pull off a serious action kind of situation, I feel. He has too much emotion to give. He can't not give emotion in a performance. So trying to make him the stoic hero, it doesn't work. He's not the stoic guy. He's the blubbering, over-the-top method actor.
The whole former gangster already sounds ridiculous, because usually if you're trying to get out of the game, you end up in the Mystic River.
Right.
You cannot just be this former boss that the goons still listen to.
Right.
It feels like some kind of construction out of thin air.
You're right, contrived, right. It can be turned on and off like a switch.
You either steal the boss or you're in the Mystic. That's how it usually happens.
Right, you don't get
you can't just move on to
I had
another profession.
Yeah, I had a daughter, so I'm out now, guys. See you later. If only it was so easy for everyone to just say, well, I have a daughter now, so therefore I'm out, guys. See you later. I'm going to retire now.
I think they showed pretty well in Breaking Bad and Sopranos.
Yeah, right.
What happens if you try to get away.
Yeah, that logic doesn't seem to apply here in Clint's world. And he only comes to them when he wants to talk to them. I mean, who knows? I mean, Boston, maybe that's the way Boston operates. Maybe it's different than the Italian mafia or other mafias. Maybe it's more just like communal. Like, we're just in a community, we watch out for each other going later on. Maybe it's just a different structure.
The principle is always the same, right? If this guy is out of the game,
who is in the game? Who's the boss?
He knows all the stuff about us.
Right.
You never know when he's gonna talk.
Drop
about
a dime to get rid of his old. Right.
You always have to be in the circle, right? You have to be with us, and you have to be guilty of everything that we're guilty of.
Right.
Otherwise, you break the circle of trust.
So at one point, he seems to give Sean Penn gives Kevin Bacon a deadline. Like, well, are you going to find this guy pretty soon? When are you going to find him by? Because if you don't, the implication is he's going to kill him. So Sean Penn does end up killing Tim Robbins in the end. So Kevin Bacon's character lets his friend off with murder. Why does he let him off with murder?
That's the big mystery of this movie. Not only he gets him, lets him get away with murder, he even makes it to be some kind of an amusement.
Well,
when you see the parade in the end, he does this with a finger, right?
You did a good job killing him. And then Sean's like, Yeah, I did. I did do a
Yeah,
good job killing
we're
him.
talking about their
Dude,
friend
it's your best friend. You're right. That's a
who's
totally
innocent
Yeah, he's
and
innocent.
who's already been a victim
Oh.
in the childhood.
Oh,
And
I
his
mean-
wife totally supports him on that. That's even more weird and just unwarranted. Like you don't understand what's the meaning of this ending.
you nailed it. You completely just nailed it right there. You nailed it to the
So
wall.
these people, all this time, we felt sorry for poor Sean Ham.
Sean Ham. That's his new name around these parts.
And like in the end, he just shows
Yeah.
us that he didn't deserve our sympathy or our pity.
Yeah, or our
He didn't
interest.
deserve anything. He's
He didn't
just
deserve
a piece of
anything.
shit.
He's just a piece of shit, and basically, it's social justice gone wrong. It's jungle justice.
And no one feels sorry.
No one feels sorry. I mean, the way they treated it, it was like a mercy killing. And let's just gloss over the fact that Sean Penn killed this guy, a best friend for many years, and he was just talking with him about his daughter's death, and he had some sympathy for himself more than he did for his own friend. That shows
And
you
they had no sympathy for the wife too, for the widow.
none.
They thought in their logic was, oh, she sold her husband. She ratted out her husband because she thought he is the killer. So it's her fault that she now she's without a husband. It's just like
That's
I mean,
horrifying.
the movie, more or less, you watch the whole movie, right? You watch like almost 90% of this movie,
Right.
and it seemed pretty solid thriller.
I completely agree.
Like you see, okay, it's a well-made movie. The story, you have all those elements of diverting our attention to the wrong guy, and
Right.
they made it pretty well, right?
Yeah.
Then you don't know who's the killer,
Well, that's the
and
thing.
it ends with the total.
Swerve. This kid just comes out of nowhere in the last 10 minutes of the film. All of a sudden, he's the killer. He's the friend of the deaf brother. And at first, they give us this sort of strange motive by saying that, well, the deaf brother doesn't want his brother to leave with Sean Penn's daughter. They're going to go away to Las Vegas
And leave him.
and teardrop, for the deaf kid, and so therefore he'd have no one to talk to. And okay, but like you can still talk to him on the phone and you can visit him. There's no one saying you can never visit your brother again. You can't live your whole life with your brother anyway. So what are you talking about? Why is this such a tragedy? I guess the rest of the family is so horrible that this is all he has. But then he's not even the killer. It's this other friend who just happened to have a gun and accidentally shoot out a tire. And
You
then
know what? It
the-
seems
the-
like
no motive. The motive disappeared, and it's just this fugazi at the
it
end.
seems like originally that was the final motive, right? It's the mute brother who kills, but then someone told them, "Come on, it's far-fetched."
Yeah, it
No,
is
it's
far-fetched.
not like he's mute. He's just mute. He's
Yeah.
not some psycho, right?
That's
Okay,
right.
So his brother is living with his girlfriend. What's the big deal?
Yeah, right. This
And
happens
then
all
he
the
just
time.
made up some excuse. Okay, it's not even this. It was just some accident.
And then some other guy, he pulls out a gun. Oh,
Yeah.
I'll kill you.
Oh, and apparently his mute brother has a friend, so he's not alone.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
And this friend is a total psycho who just shoots randomly in the street.
This is one hell of a neighborhood they got going there in Boston. I tell you.
I mean, to ruin such a solid movie, in
I
the
know,
end,
they
you take everything you worked for and you just
They just shit banked it
Throw
right
it
at the
in
end
the
there.
garbage.
Yeah, they shit banked it pretty good. And oh man, that's pretty sad. You're right. It was total
very
cock
sad.
up. It was a cock up at the end, and they tried to cover it up and jury rig it, but it didn't work. You freaking unraveled this ending very well, Dimitri. And I think we've established that there's all kinds of misgivings and mistrust and all kinds of interesting paranoia and interesting emotions in this story. But now, Dimitri, we have to settle this. We have to determine where we have our tissues with this film. So let's do that right now.
Well, the usual tissue for the inconsistencies in the plot, and I refer to the ending, which of course ruined the whole premise of that movie. So one tissue for the plot.
Right? Okay, so the ending just ruined it for you. Everything else is like forgivable.
Yeah, everything else, I would say it was a solid movie, very captivating.
Yeah.
You watch it, you don't want to stop watching. You're on your toes
Yeah.
So other than the ending, everything else is just it's forgivable,
Okay.
and it's great in many aspects.
There are many aspects of this film that are tremendous. I agree. There's just certain aspects of the film for me that require a tissue or two, maybe three. The first is Sean's overacting, which just sort of came out inappropriately. There was too much blubbering. There was too much sadness. I understand that this is the kind of emotional situation that would necessitate some heavy emotions. I get that. But it took me out of the film, and it made me realize I was watching an actor act, which is unforgivable.
For an Oscar.
For an Oscar. Specifically as Oscar bait. And this was not just method acting, this was overacting. I think I've seen enough method acting to kind of get the difference. I think I have. I've seen James Dean method act. I've seen Marlon Brando method act. And they never take me out of the film where I think I'm not watching a performance or they think I'm just watching them showboating necessarily. But Sean Broke character here, that's a bit unforgivable. And it does necessitate one tissue. The second tissue, I think some of the dialogue and some of the attempts to make the cops less of a cliche didn't work. It was a good attempt, but it didn't happen. It was very cliched, the two cops, and it's just, like, we've seen it so many times, and this is probably one of the worst examples I've ever seen of the black and white cops buddying up together and trying to solve the case. And it was all over the place, their relationship.
They kind of look like they're from some other movie.
They do.
They didn't belong to this movie.
That's exactly right. And so that's another tissue for me. I mean, it's a waste of Lawrence Fishburne and Kevin Bacon, kind of, in this role. It's just kind of like, they're pretty good actors, and, you know, they deserve more than what they had here to work with, I think. Third, that overhead shot of, why, God, why? Sean Penn, you know, crying to the heavens. It's not just the acting. That's Clint's fault. That's Clint's fault. And that is, you cannot pin that on Penn. That camera angle was designed for maximum emotion, extreme reaction to this event of a daughter being murdered. And I understand that could necessitate that much acting, but it was overacted. So the tone sort of got ruined after that. It took me out of the movie. It just made me laugh out loud. In a very serious drama, I shouldn't be laughing. You shouldn't be laughing.
You're so cynical.
It was so cynical.
Cold-hearted.
Cold-hearted. I am sorry. I have to be, and that's how this works. You know, we have to be cruel to be kind, and so that's number 3 for me. The ending, I agree, but. You know, but the third act, there's a lot of bullshit that happens in third acts. I didn't quite feel it was so horrible that it needed another tissue, but you're right, on second thought. I hadn't premeditated this, but I agree with you, it was a bad thing. But I'll let you use that for your one tissue. I'm not going to make that one of mine. I'll keep my own points, but I completely respect your point, and it was a really good point. I hadn't quite seen it that way, but you're right, that's probably exactly what happened. They tried to cover up their illogical ending with an even worse illogical ending. Even worse.
Because they just took the reasoning completely.
Yeah.
There's no reason.
No.
You watched like 2 hours.
Right.
2 hours and 15 minutes movie.
Right.
And in the end, there was no reason for this murder. It just
senseless.
Completely senseless.
Senseless.
Butchering of a young girl without any purpose.
Absolutely correct. And on that cheery note, I think that's it for us for today. So, holy tissues away, my friend. 3 is enough for me for this movie. I'm not going to go on and on with more things to do with Sean Penn, but Sean, these are for you mainly. Okay, let's go.
You can use this.
You can use this for your crying. See you later. Good show. Good show.